We're going up, up, up. It's our moment. Coventry City 3, Birmingham nil. And that was a top display by Coventry. I don't think it's one of our best performances we've ever had under Lampard. We barely got out of third gear that match. I don't know if it was Birmingham so bad or Coventry so good. It was just one of those games where we just passed them off the park. We went 1-2-0 up and they just couldn't do anything. I know they had 10 men from that red card, the double yellow. And it was a double yellow at the end of the day. I think the second one was a little bit dubious. Sometimes they'll be given, sometimes they won't. We dominated them from minute 1 to minute 90. It's not like that red card made us, we weren't the underdogs initially, and then the red card gave us a chance to go into the game. We absolutely bossed it, and they just didn't know what to do with it. I mean, from their perspective, it probably didn't help that their striker was out, so they had to bring in another player. But honestly, it's not our problem. They're a team that everyone says should be going up to the Premier League or should even be competing in the top 2/top 6. And from what I saw today, they're just nowhere near it. They are not even mid-table. They are that bad. I feel really bad for the fans. One, fans of their team, actually. 45 quid they spent on that ticket and their team didn't even put in the sweat. It was really diabolical from them. I would be really peeved off if I was a Birmingham City fan. So the fans who went to the game, unlucky to you guys. You guys watched a crap performance and your team didn't even put in a performance. Secondly, some select Birmingham fans trashing the toilets again. I mean, that's just bang out of order, isn't it? I know football, I know the tribes, I know everything about it. But at the end of the day, it goes back to your club anyways. We're not paying for it. So I don't know what you're trying to achieve out of that. You're just harming your own club. But anyways, it was a fantastic performance. I think defensively, we weren't even tested one thing. Carl Rushworth didn't even have one shot on target to face today. It was so bizarre. I expected Birmingham to come out of the gate absolutely firing, and they just didn't do anything at all. I think in the second half, they maybe got one touch in our box the whole time, and that was on our counter attack. And as soon as they got that touch in the box, we just cleared it with De Silva. De Silva today, he was probably man of the match. I don't think there was a clear man of the match. I don't think you could say De Silva was clearly or Victor Torp was clearly, even though Victor Torp was given man of the match by Sky. I think you got a few selections that you could go with, and that's what really impressed me about this performance here. I think everyone was probably a 7.5, 8 out of 10. We weren't scintillating football. It was just really, really good and really measured, which we need sometimes in these type of games. I think when Ellis Sims came on, he looked very energetic. He actually got us that third goal from Victor Torp. He was really good when he came on. And maybe, is he going to dismantle Hadji for me? No, I think Hadji is a Premier League player. I just think he's lacking a little bit of confidence in the last couple of games. You know, he's getting through his dry spell after scoring all those goals in the first few games. I think Hadji is one of the best strikers in the league. I don't think Ellis Sims is, but Ellis Sims offers something different. And especially coming onto a game with 15-20 minutes to go, Ellis Sims is a decent player off the bench if he puts in the effort, and he did today, and we got a goal from it. He just needs to take inspiration from that Ellis. I think everyone at Cov wants him to succeed, but he's got to make the effort to make it look like he's actually trying, and that's the thing that everyone's pissed off with him, if we're being completely honest. No Jack Rodoni also today. He was injured, and it wasn't the shoulder injury that we all thought. I think Lampard said it was something to do with his calf, so he's going to be out for 2 weeks, which thankfully the international break is coming up after these two games against Millwall and then also Sheffield Wednesday. So hopefully he can just rest. No need to rush him back at all. Eccles came in today. I think he did a steady job. I don't think he's obviously as good as Rodoni. That would be very, very hard to do. But I feel like he came into the game, he put in a shift, and we could see, though, we were missing that sort of through ball from Grimes in defence. Grimes would drop back into the back three, and then usually he would whip it into the midfield, and Rodoni would take that touch, turn, and then play it to the wings. We missed that today just because Eccles isn't that type of player. He's a decent player off the bench. He's a decent player to fill in, but you could see how restrictive we are when we don't have that creative player in the midfield. We're going down the channels again. It was a little bit like a shoehorn again, going around, bouncing off into the midfield and going around, but it was still a good performance. One thing I've got to say about the referee today, I don't know if it's a new law in the football world. I have no idea. What is happening with football when players go down injured, right? And then they just decide to go and get a team talk from the coach. What is that all about? Why is that allowed in football? Is that allowed in football? I don't know. But referees just seem to don't even care about it. You can legit fake an injury and then you can get a team talk from your coach. It's basically like another interbreak or something like that. It's just bizarre what's happening in football. I don't know how they're allowing it to happen because it's basically just saying to your team, if you're under the cosh for 20, 30 minutes, just go down injured. We'll get a team talk in. We'll reorganize you. bollocks to that. Why is that allowed in football? That just makes absolutely no sense to me. Like, that really grinds my gears, and it also halts the game because the player just stays down for 2, 3, 4 minutes, and then the game just goes dead, and then they can work their way back into the game. It's a little bit of the dark arts, and we're seeing that every single time at the CBS this season. I'm getting really wound up about this. Every single time a team comes to the CBS, they roll around on the ground, they receive treatment, they go off, they come back on, they fall down again, they receive the team talk from the coach. It just doesn't make any sense to me. And look, I guess we got to take a little bit of prideness in that, if that's the word you want to use, where teams are coming to the CBS and that's what they're resorting to. It's time wasting, those little tactics from the coach when they're struggling. And look, I don't blame them necessarily too much for doing it because referees allow it. I've always said this, referees are the biggest culprit when it comes to time wasting in football. When it comes to diving in football, they are the biggest culprit because they allow it to happen. And let me know in the comments, is this a rule in football that you're allowed to do that? If not, everyone just freeze on the pitch. You're not allowed to move. Anyways, my tangent is now done. I mean, the goals, looking back at it, the first goal, Brandon Thomas Asante, his movement was excellent. It was a shot from Kitchen on the edge of the box, deflects a little bit. The keeper, I think he's very unlucky to palm it straight to Brandon Thomas Asante, but that's what you want in a striker, and I think he's the only striker at the club who has that instinct to follow the ball in. He did it, was it against Derby away from home? He did that one also where he followed it in. He's a really, really good striker. He's a striker where if he has time to think about it, he'll just blaze it over the bar. But when it's like that instinct, he'll slot it away every single time. Second goal came from, who was it? I think it was Sakamoto, put it back post, which he had a quiet game today. I wasn't really impressed by him again. He put it back post. It went over the defender. Eccles headed it back across goal, and it came off their defender and went in the goal. And honestly, the first glance of it, I wasn't actually too sure if it went in the back of the net. I don't think anyone was. And then when you saw the replay of the GDS, oh my God. I mean, you're talking like a paperclip. You're really unlucky to concede that goal, Birmingham. If that was against Cov, I would be fuming. I would say the gods are against us this game. I just feel really bad for them. We played decent up until that point. We know we're 1-0 up. We're not necessarily dominating the game as we would do normally. We're just knocking the ball around. We're just playing with them. And then we get a second goal like that just to bring the gap out a little bit further for them to not even get a sniff in the game. It's really unlucky on their part. And then the third goal, Victor Tort. Again, following it in. Sims holding up the ball really nicely. Could have been a pen. Probably should have been a pen. If that was in the Premier League and we didn't score from that, that's definitely a penalty. He's holding his shirt back. Sims has a shot, deflects out wide, and then Torp just knocks it into the back of the net. Easy peasy. And this is what I say always about strikers. It's so easy. All you have to do is pass the ball into the net. That's what Lionel Messi did his whole career. And it's so easy when you put it in the right position with the right pace. Keepers are not getting anywhere near it. And there was a couple of times in the game, I don't remember who it was, but they had shots. I think it was Thomas Asante. He had his head down the whole time and he just smashed it. And he had the whole right side of the goal to shoot at. And he could have passed it into the net. And his head's down. He has the shot. He hits it right at the keeper's line of view. And then it hits the defender and bounces out. I mean, it was a good game today from Coventry. As I said, I think we're in third gear for most of it. But that's the most impressive part. We're in third gear and we're demolishing a team like Birmingham 3-0 at home. They didn't even have one sniff today. I was really, really impressed by it. Big up to the two centre-backs also, Thomas and Kitching. They are leaving Wolverhampton out, and I was really annoyed before the game. I'm like, when are we going to introduce this Premier League centre-back? You know, we got him for 4 or 5 million. You can't just keep putting him on the bench. But to be fair to the defenders, they're actually making it really hard to put up a case to put Wolverhampton in for Thomas or for Kitchen, because they have a really good relationship. Apparently, they share like the change rooms beforehand. They dine together. They're really good mates. So it's very hard to break up that partnership. But as long as like they're playing well, I don't mind it. But it's just because the last few weeks it's been a little bit shaky. A couple of games here and there where Wolverhampton's, you know, licking his lips, ready to come into the lineup. And because they're performing, and because the last 2 games they've gotten 2 clean sheets, it's very hard to say that Wolverhampton deserves to start. But I think coming up to these 2 games against Sheffield Wednesday and Millwall midweek, I think you've got to put Wolverhampton into at least one of those 2 games. Give him a little bit of a run out. You know, he's not even coming off the bench at the moment, and he's left Ipswich to join Coventry to be the #1 defender. And I think Lampard, if he doesn't play him in one of those 2 games, I think we're going to find a real angry wolf on the bench. No pun intended. What I also liked about this game here It showed that we're a team that can change it up. I've always said that about Lampard. I've always said he has one way of playing, which is whipping the ball into the box. And yeah, we did that at times today. But he showed another level where we can just knock the ball around and then we can create those chances out of nothing, which I like to see. I like to see change in my manager. I don't like to see just one dimensional, as we saw with Ange Postecoglou in the Premier League. He got sacked because of that, because he only had one way of playing. Whilst Lampard did have that, I think he's evolved over the summer and it's slowly coming to fruition, which is awesome to see. I think the bench additions today also enabled him to play a different way. Kai Andrews coming on off the bench, I think he did really well. He showed a little bit of jazz, doing some little flicks here and there. You know, Miguel Angel Brau looks a lot more sharper on that left-hand side. We're not even using him as a left back. We're using him as like a left mid, which is really interesting because no one thought he would be that when he came in. Jamie Allen again, just doing the normal stuff that you need in football. You need those type of players in the squad who just do the basics, and that's why I like Victor Torp also. He kind of does that, but he has a little bit more to him. Jamie Allen receives the ball, plays the simple passes. You need those players who just keep the game rolling, keep the game going over. Grimes does that in the midfield. Torp does that to a certain extent. Rodoni necessarily doesn't do that, but you need that where you need the expressive player alongside the two. So it was really good to see Jamie Allen come on and put in a good shift. Arguably could have been man of the match when he came on. He just did everything so well. Ken Kessler-Hayden on the right wing. Could we see that as a thing going forward? Milan at right back or Milan at right wing, and then Kane Kessler-Hayden at right back or right wing. I think that's a possibility. I think it's naive, and I don't think you should do it right now. Personally, I know we're in the ascendancy, but you've got to keep that fluidity, and you've got to keep that performance level that we're doing. You can't just change it up and start experimenting at this level. But I mean, maybe if we're, again, 60 minutes and we're 2 or 3-0 up against a good team, maybe you try it again and see whether or not Kane Kessler-Hayden works more defensively and Van Overbeek at right back. Imagine MV's pace at right wing. It'll just be electric. He can skip past the player, no doubt about that. But of course, playing on the wing is a lot different to right back. Otherwise, every right back and right winger could interchange. It's a very demanding position. It's very different, but it would be nice to see what could happen there. So that's my match reaction to Coventry 3, Birmingham 0. Fantastic performance, an 8 out of 10 performance. I think we have more gears to go through, which is exciting as a Coventry fan. This is unlike Coventry. This is not Coventry, everybody. This is a new Coventry. Even under Robin's slow starts, not being the favourites, now under Lampard, we built the team up, we built the ethos, we built the camaraderie, and we're looking like a dangerous team. And honestly, we could get automatic promotions this season. I don't see one team in this league who's going to run away with it. I know people say Middlesbrough because they're undefeated and they've got more points than us. I kind of see them slipping off the table, if I'm being honest, probably down to 5th or 6th. I predicted them in my top 6, so I'm not necessarily surprised of where they are in the league. I think they will drop down, but they're doing fantastically well. There's no team, as I said last season, Leeds, Burnley, Sheffield United, those guys were, you could tell in performance levels, they were just another level. There's no team in this league that's another level. I think you've got 4 or 5 teams in this league who are similar quality, and the points show that this season already. I think what is it, from like top 6, 7, you got 11 points up to 18, so there's only 7 points in it at the moment, and in second spot Coventry, which is about 5 or 4. So yeah, let me know in the comments down below, what is your views on the Coventry vs Birmingham game? What's your match rating? Who's your man of the match? And don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel if you're new. We do match reactions like this every single match day.